This video was to have been about the Eastern theory of Maya, or the illusory nature of reality. The idea that things are never simple or what they seem to be on the surface. But based on the comment sections and the exchanges that I've had with a number of people on the previous videos, my conscience sort of got the better of me. And I just wanted to sort of stop and take stock and communicate with the people who have been kind enough to engage me on this issue. When you discuss things like Hinduism from a Western point of view, a Western scientific, secular, practical point of view, or even from the Judeo-Christian Islamic point of view, it's often, or it seems almost impossible sometimes, to figure out what Eastern faiths teach or believe. There doesn't seem to be the simplicity and the uniformity of doctrine that you see in the West. In the West, you get umpteen zillion different sects of the various religions, but you just have to essentially, in many ways, get a list of what these people actually believe, and you can conclude that all members of that sect or all members of that faith group believe this. The religions of the East don't work like that. Two Hindus might believe exactly or essentially opposite things, and yet each one will accept the fact that the other is as good a Hindu as he is, because the Hindu tradition is totally interspersed with the idea that all people are different and all people will see reality differently, and that people will use different symbols to express that reality differently. That point of view comes out best in The Blind Man and the Elephant. I'll have a link below. And there are any number of other parables that the East has to describe this tendency for people to fundamentally disagree on just about everything, but to understand that the disagreements might simply be a disagreement upon the symbols that they're using to describe the same thing. Now, I just wanted to make this clear because, first of all, the people who have actually engaged me, I have to thank them all for their patience and forbearance. A lot of times I'm quite certain that a number of people were just itching to call me a troll, but they sort of, based on all my other videos and based on their knowledge of my where I'm coming from, I think that they knew that I wasn't really being a troll, but it just seemed that I was annoying them with the type of arguments that I was putting forward. But I was honestly putting forward the arguments that I thought that the East would make in terms of an argument with atheism or the modern scientific mind. A lot of people said, well, there's nothing to grab hold of to argue against, and actually that's the entire point. Eastern faith doesn't work the same way as Western faith, to the point where a lot of people have said that, well, maybe Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism, etc., Taoism and Confucianism aren't really religions. Well, okay, if you want to say that, that's entirely possible. But if you've ever been to India, if you've ever been to Burma, Cambodia, Thailand, especially India, religion permeates absolutely everything that ever happens. I've never been to Saudi Arabia, but I wouldn't be surprised if a visit to India followed by a visit to Saudi Arabia would cause someone to conclude that India is probably the most profoundly religious country on earth. So to say that Hinduism isn't a religion is sort of not entirely true either. Everywhere you go in India, there's pictures of gods. There's somebody chanting mantras in the most unlikely places. There's some festival going on in honor of some god or other. People are praying everywhere. Especially the even in the way that you see people dress. Indian women almost always dress according to the caste in which they were born. You see everybody everywhere wearing the bindu or the tikka that denotes some sort of religious observation, although women occasionally wear it for strictly cosmetic purposes. But it's hard to overstate how powerful a hold religion has on India and the Indian mind. But it has a hold that is very, very, very different from the way it works in the West. So I'm trying to illustrate that, and I'm trying to illustrate the point that Dawkins might sort of have something against religion, but he would have a very, very tough time dealing with even, say, a Hindu theist, because a Hindu's concept of theism is different from the Western concept of theism. The obvious example for that is the way that a Hindu will approach, say, the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Song of God, which is one of the many Hindu Bibles. It's a song between Krishna and Arjuna, Krishna being a god, and Arjuna being more or less a mortal man. And Krishna is explaining reality and how to cope with it to Arjuna. Now, it's possible that there was a historical battle of Kurukshetra where two rival clans fought over the throne of a kingdom. It's entirely possible, but Hindus probably wouldn't care either way, because the moral and spiritual and philosophical issues raised in the Bhagavad Gita are universally applicable to them. So in their way of looking at things, Krishna and Arjuna stand on their chariot at the battlefield of Kurukshetra this very second, at the very heart of anything that ever happens to anyone. And they wouldn't even have a desire to prove any of this. It's hard to explain, and I understand that the way that I'm trying to get it through to people might sound irritating, and again, I apologize if it's come across that way. And I appreciate everyone who's had the patience to stay with me so far. I was going to do, again, a video on the theory of Maya, but I just wanted to stop and sort of I suppose, come clean on this and say that I actually, a lot of the responses that I got, I fully expected to get, but I just want to make it clear that I'm not deliberately playing with people. It's just not an easy thing to do, to compare and contrast the Western logical mindset versus the Eastern intuitive mindset. They're two different things. And I think that's probably why the Eastern mindset fascinates me so much. Until next time, thank you.